Look at that beautiful Bitcoin pump. We ended up trading in some consolidation, some price correction right here, and we've seen a beautiful, beautiful pump to the upside now, clearing all of our highs. And this one is really, really interesting. I'm going to come back to this chart in just a bit later on in the video, but we have also cleared seemingly basically our last or our second last area of resistance on this entire chart before we can start talking about hitting that Bitcoin all-time high. So there's a lot to cover with you in this YouTube video. I am definitely super excited for it. So if you are, do me a favor and smash up those likes as you are coming in. Of course, I do want to highlight the phenomenal offers available to you all in the description down below, especially Bybit here, which is going to be giving you up to $30,000 to trade with for free. And that will be extra trading money that you can deploy into the market. Any profits you generate are yours. So we'll get to that in just a sec, but let's take a look at this stuff right here. I mean, this is your most typical bullish breakout you could possibly get, and we've actually got a beautiful chart right here of Bitcoin on the 2-day where you can see that this is actually quite a common typical sort of body language for Bitcoin in terms of producing another pump to the upside. It's something that we were watching as well, and it's also a pattern that we've highlighted quite a bit. Now, this is a very zoomed out 2-day chart going all the way back to the beginning of 2023. So in real life, if you look at this on shorter time frames, there are way more examples than this, and we've already covered many of them. So those of you who are subscribed are going to know about that quite well. So I'm not going to go into that stuff again right now. But what I do think is quite interesting is that on larger time frames like what you're about to see here, we do have the same pattern producing all the time, which is this nice pump to the upside followed by a nice controlled pullback, a continuation, pullback, continuation, and then a pullback that just kind of continued for a little bit. And then we started to see things change a little bit where we weren't necessarily trending downwards, but we were just trending sideways. And this is the pattern that we saw repeated on all sorts of time frames. Like just right here, it's so tiny you can barely even make it out, and we are on the 2-day. But of course, we have definitely done the same thing again now with this current bit of price action, which is absolutely phenomenal. And at the same time, we've done that coming off support with the 4-hour Ichimoku cloud, which is absolutely great because this is a useful, reliable, in my experience, longer midterm kind of indicator that can provide, in this case, support to the market. And all of this really just kind of begs the question now, are we headed up to that next zone of resistance? Because if we zoom out and talk about where that resistance places Bitcoin, it would be up at about that $58,000 price tag, which we were kind of struggling at this level previously back in 2021, and also briefly at the end of 2021, we did find a little bit of support here in this range, a very tiny little bit of resistance. So this is definitely, in my opinion, the next clear level on the chart, and there is really nothing that should stop Bitcoin from getting there, just according to what I'm seeing here. Now, that doesn't mean that something won't stop Bitcoin from getting there, and we'll cover that in just a second. But if we do take a look at this price range just here, I first want to focus your attention on everything that takes place, in this particular price range. And what we can see very clearly is that when Bitcoin does manage to break this key area at 52.3, 52.4, even just going back to the very, very first time that Bitcoin ever broke that price level, it took 1 day for Bitcoin to get up to this resistance level. Like, it literally happened inside of the same day that we broke it. So that definitely tells us something. Now, on the way down, it took us 2 days to collapse all the way from this level down to this one, right? And what that tells us just right off the bat is that this is clearly a price zone where Bitcoin doesn't hang around for long. This is clearly just a transit point for Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't spend too much time in this price range spanning between $52.4 and $58,000, $56,000 up here. Bitcoin just zips all the way up and then zips all the way down, right? And we can continue to see that playing out right here, almost happening right here, and then again down and up and down and up just on this one little wick here. Continuous price action constantly showing us the same damn thing. Yeah, Bitcoin does not spend too much time in this price range. It just goes all the way up and then all the way down, and sometimes that happens inside of 1 day, sometimes that takes a little bit longer, but it is very clear that that's how Bitcoin responds to this range. So now that we've gotten that confirmed breakout, well, at least I think it's the most confirmed breakout we've had in a while, that definitely works in Bitcoin's favor. If we look at this same key level and draw with the measure tool up to our high, we're up by 2.5%, which, some people are going to be looking for a 1% breakout, some are going going to be looking for 3, and some are going to be looking for more or less than those numbers, but typically 1 and 3 are the standard numbers, and we haven't quite hit that more conservative 3% target, but we have moved up now after some really healthy consolidation, right? So if we're trying to judge if this is real price action, then it's definitely showing the right signs. And there's a couple more bits that I want to discuss with you about why this is looking good, including, for example, the S&P 500. But one of the big problems I have with all of this price action is that this is still coming in at a very dangerous time for the market. You know, one of the key things that we need to understand about this market now, and this is so fucking unusual, ladies and gents. I mean, this is really not something that typically happens ever. You know, we have now, from our low that we established right at the end of 2022, very beginning of 2023, we have now moved up by over 200%. Yeah, by over 200% now in a matter of over a year. I mean, this was what, like from January to February. So what is that, like 13, 14 months now, that we have been able to triple in price, and we haven't really had strong pullbacks, right? We usually get much stronger pullbacks than what we're looking at so far in this market, where if we take a look at this, that's a 20% move down. It's actually slightly less than that. I drew that a bit incorrect. Yeah, no, it is 22%. You know, we had another, 20% right here, and we had another, 21% right here, and then this one was also another 21%. So strangely, like all literally within 1% of each other in terms of these corrections, but all of them only 20% corrections, which for Bitcoin, I mean, we're used to like 40% corrections and things like that. So one of the things I was warning you guys about while Bitcoin was crashing in 2022, early 2023, is that when you get such a long time period of relentless selling like this, which is the exact opposite of what we're in right now, a long period of relentless buying like this, you are going to pay for that, and you are going to get a very severe correction. And that's why when we were down here, I was telling you guys I'm seeing a $30,000, $40,000 Bitcoin, even though everybody thought I was batshit fucking crazy. And that's why when we were down here, I felt confident enough to buy a bunch of Bitcoin with a real position. You know, a lot of these shit-munching YouTubers and Twitter gurus out here are trading 10 million positions at a time, and they're each putting like $5 in, or they're, putting maybe even like 100K in, but they know they're making 200K off your commission. So it's just a business model for them. If it goes right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. But this was a legitimate trade that I put in at 21.5, obviously, because that's what I do. I'm actually trading in these markets just like you. And the reason I was able to go into it with that same conviction with a lot of conviction, was precisely because I was aware of these market dynamics where these reactions are going to be very strong if we're not getting any relief, right? I mean, the only relief we had during this entire downtrend was this move right here, and that was definitely a nice one, but it was only one, and that was in an entire downtrend that lasted 382 days and took the price down by 77%. And to put that in perspective, in order to break even, that's a 340% move up. So the percentage losses are always a lot harder to recover than the on the other side when you're coming up. So that was able to give me the conviction to trade this up. And I'm definitely feeling the same way to the downside now, because if we do look at this from that more macro perspective, like I just showed you earlier on in this YouTube video, we have broken pretty much all areas of resistance, right? We still have that one key area of resistance at about $58,000, and that's what I showed you just a couple of minutes ago, and that's absolutely great, and we are going to take a look at that again, but that's pretty much it, right? Like the atmosphere is very thin here. There is really not that much standing between Bitcoin and its all-time high right now, which, considering that we haven't had a single significant pullback, is highly, highly unusual. And we're basically in a situation now where if you start looking at the numbers, you start looking at the sentiment, you start looking at the way people are talking about the market, you've got to start asking yourself, do you have right now the typical, and I mean the most typical recipe for a disaster in the crypto markets yet to come, and the price is primed for it? Do we have that recipe, or do we have the recipe for this thing to continue trending up and we're going straight to heaven and this is it, like we're in a new paradigm, we're in the future of finance, and absolutely everything is fantastic again, and we're straight back to yacht parties and Bugattis and Formula sponsorships and stuff like that? Is that where we are? And obviously these are questions I'm posing to you, and I'd love for you to be able to make your own decision, and you can watch this content and whatever else you use to help you make those decisions. But I feel pretty certain that even though it's not quite played out yet, that doesn't mean it's not going to play out. That just means the reaction is going to be even more extreme, just like it was over here. I'm not using any different style of analysis than what was 100% correct when we were down here. I'm just saying it to you again at another price point where it's very uncomfortable on the opposite side of things. So, I think that's really important to be keeping in mind right now. If we take a quick look at the fear and greed index, for example, let's go ahead and refresh this, and we're sitting at a reading of 72, updating in 5 hours, and we've been fluctuating around extreme greed now for the better part of this entire month. Since basically February 9, we have been sitting at about extreme fear or just below, which is very telling about where sentiment actually is in the market. And I've already demonstrated this to you, right? Like if we start scrolling on Twitter and taking a look at what Twitter is saying about these markets, it's the same damn situation, ladies and gents. There's just absolutely nothing, that you can see in this market. Look at this. SYN is grossly undervalued. I'm not trying to comment on these people. Each of the people I follow on Twitter, I think are phenomenal people to be following on Twitter. So this is nothing bad. But what I'm trying to do is just understand, is there anything I can see that balances this bullish narrative at all? And the answer is absolutely not. Like everyone's sharing their P&L numbers, everyone's sharing that they were correct about their long positions, that something is undervalued, that we're seeing a pennant breakout. And obviously this is all happening because we're seeing actual breakouts in the market. So naturally, if everything looks bullish on a technical perspective, then things are probably looking bullish. We can't do anything else as technical analysts other than look at what is happening now and what's happened in the past, right? So it's totally reasonable that that's what we're seeing. But at the same time, this is where things to me get very, very risky. And I'm definitely interested in seeing how I can keep my capital safe, because I think Bitcoin is indeed going to go much higher than this particular price level. But I certainly would not be placing bets that it's going to do it from here. I think that we're going to have to look at some sort of a pullback before that were to happen. And to me, that would put Bitcoin in a much, much healthier position. And I think one of the beautiful things that Bitcoin has going in its favor right now is that no matter what happens, it's got phenomenal support below it. If we take a look at this on the daily time frame, we can see that illustrated really nicely right here, where the daily Ichimoku cloud is still so far away for Bitcoin. I mean, if Bitcoin sees a flash crash now, that's going to take Bitcoin all the way down to $43,000. And by the way, we spent an entire 2 months in that price range. I mean, I know it seems kind of far away now, and it certainly has been a solid minute. It's been about 3 weeks since we were up there. Since we were down there. So it has been some time since we've been in this price range. But I mean, this is a phenomenal price range to see Bitcoin returning back down to for some support. And if we use the support that we've got on the Ichimoku cloud going into the middle of March, that still sits at about $45,000, which is a really nice price area for Bitcoin to enjoy some support right here. On the weekly time frame, we've got a massive red Ichimoku cloud, and this is about to close up and turn into support heading into September, so very, very far away, but toward the second half of this year, which also means that if Bitcoin were to print a quite bearish bit of price action throughout the course of this summer, that's going to lead probably very nicely into a phenomenal area of support on the very, very large time frames. And that's not something we can rule out. Like right now, it looks like it's absolutely impossible for the market to trend down because the only thing it's been doing is trending up. But let us not forget let us not forget that 2022 was a year of a relentless downtrend. And so for me to say that, hey, we could actually get a pretty shit next 4 or 5 months, like, I know you don't want to hear it, and I sure as fuck don't want to say it, but let's not be stupid just for the sake of, hoping that more money lands in our pockets, because that's not how the markets work. And we can actually make a lot of money if we stay very realistic about these kind of things. And that's actually where exchanges like Bybit come in absolutely beautifully, because there's going to be a link just below Bybit right here, enabling you guys to benefit from a $500 Bitcoin position. This is actually the wrong link I've got up here, but you're going to be getting a free $500 position on Bitcoin where you can go long or short on Bybit, which is absolutely fantastic, just using my link down below. And if you're already referred to Bybit by somebody else, you're going to have to make a new account, unfortunately, but you can use the same KYC. And if you're not referred to Bybit it by anybody, but you already have an account, then there is a form right here which you can use, and you can move under my account and then get your free $500 position, which is absolutely fantastic. So these things are really cool to be taking advantage of right now, because there's so much profit potential in both directions. And if the money's free, then there's really no loss anyway. Bybit does not really like doing this. We've spoken to them about opening some more of these promotions up for you guys, and they don't really want to do it. It's costing them a lot of money. I don't know how long they're going to keep it up for, and this is very new. I've never really seen anyone ever do this. Like, it's literally a free fucking position. It's like your friend gave you $500 and said, fuck it, dude, I don't care what happens, just throw it in. And by the way, you can keep any of the profits too. Like, that is literally what Bybit is doing. So please do take advantage of this while you can. I don't know how long it's going to last for, and I think it's very cool that this is available right now. But if we do come back to the price section here and talk a little bit about where this thing can go, for me, it is basically going to be coming down to that key resistance up ahead at about $58,000, and we are very nearby to it. Now, what is the possibility of Bitcoin just kind of deciding that, well, we're going to find some random magical invisible resistance here and then crash back down? What is the chance? Honestly, I don't think it's particularly high, other than the fact that this is just so ridiculously overstretched at this point that it becomes very dangerous at any price level now at this stage. But I think one of the things that is looking quite interesting on the note of some potential trades is just the possibility of a bit of a retracement, because if we get a retracement down here, this is all a support range now that Bitcoin could be able to take advantage of. Not only just this sideways range, but also this diagonal downward channel that Bitcoin was trending in as well, forming a beautiful kind of falling wedge descending channel pattern right here. And if we do end up seeing a nice kind of pullback down into these levels, that can be something very useful to bring the market back up toward those kind of 58k levels that we haven't seen now for about 3 years or 2.5 years, depending on where you're looking at. Which is very, very cool indeed. And I think altcoins are also showing us similar signs right now, because we've seen some really nice upside on Ethereum right here. Some of the best upside we've seen on Ethereum for quite some time. In fact, if we take a look at this on the daily, we haven't been up here since the beginning of this year, and before that, since October of last year. So these are price levels that Ethereum isn't really seeing typically against Bitcoin, and certainly when we get here, it's not been for long. But we have also seen Bitcoin's dominance fall just a little bit within our same range here. So there's still some nice downside to go for Bitcoin's dominance if it's going to bottom out right here. But I think the overall trend remains very, very clear that regardless, we are still moving up, and we're just kind of pausing, doing the same thing Bitcoin's price does, but for Bitcoin's dominance right here. And if we do take a look at Ethereum, just to kind of zoom in on what's going on over there, it is looking absolutely beautiful over here as well, with some really nice upside and some very strong macro resistance up here as well, which I think is worth taking into account. If we just go ahead and throw a fixed range volume profile and take a look at where some of these spikes are coming in, you can see that this is all a strong area of resistance stretching all the way up to about $3,500, and that's where it really thins out. And to give you guys a sense of perspective, Bitcoin is like basically, I don't know, I would say like around over here, maybe over here. So Ethereum's still lagging behind by quite a bit. There's a lot of money to be made on Ethereum, but of course, I don't want to be buying it just yet. I think that there's still better opportunities yet to come for Ethereum, where I can buy it at better levels against Bitcoin. So that is definitely something that I am personally looking forward to. Now, one of the key things which I think is important to talk about in this market is, of course, the S&P 500. We've got about 2 hours until this session closes. And if we look at this on the 4-hour time frame, we've seen a really nice continuation to the upside here with a small downtrend starting off this week. And that could be a sign of more blood, more kind of downside to come. If that's the case, then we're finally going to start seeing things reel in potentially. So that's something that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for, because if we do start to see things kind of reel in and become a little bit more reasonable for the S&P 500, then that is probably going to mean some downside for Bitcoin. Obviously, we've seen other stocks, for example, like Nvidia, doing absolutely phenomenally. Obviously, Nvidia being one of the key companies that people are looking at for the AI boom right now. These are stocks that are contributing to a very bullish S&P 500, and there's lots of them, so it's happening directly and indirectly. But of course, these things, are also now getting quite ridiculous. The S&P 500 broke its all-time high, and it's just been on a straight run up ever since, which is, of course, not super unusual for this particular index. but you do still want to see pullbacks taking place, and I think, you know, we are basically at a really nice time to do that now, especially considering that the S&P 500 has started off a week with some red, and it's doing so above the 5,000 level, which to me makes it a beautiful area for a potential deviation or a fake out, or just, you know, to get some people in very, very excited. And I do feel like 53K could be a similar type of bull trap in this market. So for me, it's definitely quite a tense zone in the market. It's something that I'm watching very carefully. I think there are some really interesting trading opportunities that could be opening up here. I think a lot have already opened up and a lot more are going to open up, especially when, because nothing's guaranteed, but I mean, let's be honest, this is probably, fairly clear that eventually this thing needs to see a sharp pullback, but if we do get that sharp pullback, I think that's where things could get really nice, because we're going to see relatively, low risk plays coming into the market, because things are going to start looking healthier again, which means that it's going to be a lot easier to start putting capital, in healthy places, and then, just making nice low risk, high reward plays, which I think is absolutely essential, because like I've said before, if you're filling a bucket of water, but the bucket has a hole in it, then you're not going to be particularly successful. So there you go, ladies and gents. Look at that pump just taking place on Bitcoin right now, pushing this a little bit higher right here. There's really nothing standing in the way of Bitcoin in 58K, 56K from a technical perspective. It really, just from this particular chart, it really just is a case of now, well, this thing is very overstretched. It's definitely quite dangerous right now to stand in its way. Also, I would say quite dangerous to be in it, but I am still actually in my Bitcoin long position. So I'm just very curious before I head off to take a look at that particular position here on Bybit, because this is a position now that I've held for a decent amount of time and made some decent profits on it as well. And it looks like the number hasn't updated, because I thought it would be higher than this, but it seems like it's only, and I say only in speech marks, but it seems like it's only at 1,500% profit for my Bitcoin position. So that's a little bit strange. I thought it would be higher than that, but I don't know, maybe I got something wrong. And of course, my Tron position is doing a little bit better than that. A little bit worse than that at 800% profits. So, sometimes we have bad days, but that's completely okay. All right, ladies and gents, I hope you have enjoyed this one. If you have, you know exactly what to do. Definitely do check out the link, the links in the description to all of these beautiful bonuses that are available to you as well. And if you have enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Hit up that like button, subscribe, tick the bell so you don't miss out on any of this very time sensitive content. And I'm going to see you all in the next one. Cheers.